What's up, YouTube? You guys deserve better. I'm gonna keep the original content from episode 6, but we're just gonna shuffle it up. Right up front, I want to stress the importance of just getting out there and meeting your heroes. Rick from Geiser Brothers, thank you so much for the jacket. Jason Shearer, thank you so much for the King of the Hammer sweatshirt. Johnny Campbell, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to ride with people like me. I want this channel to be about the community, about you guys, about your projects, about your builds, and maybe a little bit about how this shop can contribute to that. But what I do want is for you just to go out there and get involved. Go meet your heroes like I do. I do it. I just throw a sleeping bag in my truck and just show up. That's what I want from you guys. If it's too much, get a hold of us and we'll make it happen together. That's what I want. So anyway, I'm gonna fast forward for you. It was ridiculous to even put the junk up front. I'm gonna jump right into the footage from the Off-Road Expo here in Phoenix, and then I'm gonna transition into a tour of the Geiser Brothers trophy truck shop. And then if you're still interested, it'll be a stick in the mud, what was happening in our shop when that video was cut. I'll leave it in there. So if it doesn't make sense chronologically, that's why. We cut it up and I re-uploaded it. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Let me know how we can make the best videos possible. Let me know what you want to see. Again, this channel is all about you guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.
As if this stuff being cool isn't reason enough to go, what I like to do is look at how things evolve. So here you can see that this is a big block and not an LS, so everybody's kind of getting away from that platform, even though it's sort of untested. Shannon Campbell has a really good YouTube channel that talks about a lot of these details, like this winch here. It caught me off guard seeing the airline go into it. I thought it was an air bearing or something, but it's a air actuated winch release. So you can flip the switch and pull that line out almost effortlessly. Every once in a while, somebody will bring a truck fresh from a race. I love seeing these. How did you mount the coils? How do you do your wiring? I get so much flack for my light bar on the G-Wagon, but it's modeled after things that get used, things that work. Hey, what kind of spares are you running? I know what my beadlocks look like when they're at 18 PSI. Those look like they're 30, 40, even though the race line's just like mine. How do you get them to hold? Here's a really cool sand truck, high dollar, carbon fiber, all the best parts. What I like about the sand trucks is their cage isn't to a race spec. So if it makes sense to put tubes somewhere else, they do. So you notice the main hoop isn't crossed in this. Instead, they move the cross to the back. So it's a compromise in safety, but it's a $300,000 truck. And you're probably going to take a little more care of it than bopping around on a race course. Of course, hopefully one day I'll be a vendor, but I get all excited about the displays. How do they show it? How can they condense what they have to offer down into a booth? Those types of things. At these shows, I love seeing what normal people drive. For example, here's a Raptor. It's really difficult to make a chase bar look good when it's not real. And I think this one looks very good. And hit me if this is your truck. I don't mean to bash anybody, but as you can see, there's a lot going on under the skin of a trophy truck. So to try and emulate that with just a light bar is pretty difficult. So the shows are cool to find out what's possible for the normal person, what maybe my customer might want. But Geiser Brothers is cool because this is sort of the pinnacle of engineering. Let's not rule it out, but it would be nice to have customers with this kind of money. This truck built for Dan Bilzerian was over $1 million, and it resold for almost that too. These pre-runners can be even more than trophy trucks sometimes because it's just ridiculous. Starlit headliner covering your cage with sound deadening. Everything's wrapped in leather and has to be mil-spec plugs, labeled wiring, cruise control, paddle shift, all the best from both worlds. And I feel so fortunate that they do their Christmas party every year and that you can go to it and walk up to these trucks and take a deeper look. What's the latch look like for your spare tire? How can you possibly compress 45 psi on a 40-inch tire to latch it in without ratchet straps? How do you make it look clean? But beyond that, when you go to the shop, it's not just what's up and coming at the show and that they want to show off. Everything is there on display. As I'm walking around, I see all the stuff just around. Setup motors, flex plates for fixturing, all the weld stuff, the tools, jigs. This Frankie guy is pretty cool. I gotta check him out. Of course it's clean for the show. Doesn't always look like this, but it is always clean. I'll give him that. While everybody's gawking about who's who, trying to rub shoulders, I'm off in the back looking at how you organize the tools. What's the shop layout? How do you get to the things that you use the most? What kind of tools do you use? And then, of course, because we're pulling radiators and mounting them, seeing how they're mounted on our cars. How could we do it better? How did they do it? Again, I'm constantly looking at the details, and then I notice, look at how the tires are dented in from the pressure of these bars coming down. Trying to relate what I see with what we see here in the shop. We just had this discussion about not having power brakes. How do they do it? Wow, with this giant lever. And then, because there's 100 gallons of fuel that comes and goes out of this truck, you gotta have a brake bias adjustment, and that's what you're looking at. I know that we could do a whole video just on Geiser Brothers shop, and I have tons and tons of footage from all the times I've been there, but I'll leave you with this. If you know what you're looking for, or you're not afraid to ask, it's all here. There's so much history in this place, it's not funny. They've been around for so long. That's the real magic of this shop. It's December 2024. Everybody I know is sick, and this month has been nothing but events. Well, all the way from Thanksgiving. You saw, check out the Glamis videos, the one before this. That was Thanksgiving weekend, I think, something like that. But then what? All the holidays, all the events, everything just sort of hits. Everybody's sick, everyone's traveling from all over the country, so it's sort of a drag, but lots been going on. Let's check it out. You know, showrooms coming along. This thing here, this like busted ass mirror thing, is just to keep the heat in that office. Check out this wolf. Oh damn, dude, there it is, all welded up. Shit, can't film. Whatever, cue some good footage. Let me shut this door. Dude, Pistol Pete, if you don't know who that is, look him up. Awesome dude. Geyser calendar. So what were some of the events? We had Dirt Expo, all the Christmas parties for all the local shops, running around trying to price out stuff. Arizona passed the law to put prices on everything. It's really difficult to gauge for all these projects how much stuff is going to cost. What do we got in here? Sandcar's back. Everything went well. We kind of ripped it down after taking it out. Thanksgiving was more like a shakedown. We had some leaks in the radiator, so those came out. Cue the footage. All that stuff came out, got bled. Everything went well with the motor and tuning. Glad that was good. We had some issues. Check this stupid thing out, man. Like, that's why you do shakedown. That's why you do shakedown runs. The smallest thing could hang you up, and we had some fuses blowing on the fans, which in turn was making it overheat, which maybe
is why we detected some of the tiny coolant leaks on it. But I'll show you this stupid ground. Here's this ring terminal off the car. Pull the heat shrink off. No, it's crimped, but not well. And so that wire was just bouncing in and out of that. Probably bouncing the relay, and that's why the fuse blew. So this $1 thing, generously $1 thing, could have ruined your whole weekend or ended your race. And not even because it was defective, because somebody didn't crimp it hard enough. Intermittent, almost impossible to troubleshoot, but we got it. It's all back together. Got a new trailer, so we whipped up some ramps real quick. Check these things out. So those are so you can leave the wheels on and drive it or winch it right into the trailer without really squeezing on the tires. These paddles don't like climbing up over the wheel wells. They're really thin. This wheel with the rim is probably 20-30 pounds, and for reference, like on the Excursion, those 37s, which are the same size as this on 20-inch rims, they're over 180 pounds each. So this is absolutely insane that they're that light, but that also means that you can't be, you know, ripping down the road on them because they'll just blow themselves apart. So anyway, ramps. What else? Over here, dude, Delica still hasn't left. Not because we're not making progress on it. This thing is awesome. We're just kind of working through the kinks. Again, it's an import, so you really can't even buy anything for it. And we're working on an intercooler, so really difficult to see, but we're just doing some mock-up stuff here. Where's it gonna go? There's this whole like open frame section because it's kind of mid-engine, like a Scooby-Doo van, but we got her kind of all ripped apart here, laying all the intercooler tubing, trying to get dialed. Watch out for a separate video on this. I won't go too much into it. Shop's kind of coming together. We're finding a groove. We got a nice scrap cart thing. G-Wagon's on deck. It's broke. Check it out. We did some, here's some footage of us ripping through Glamis. So yeah, we're finding a groove, finding where things go, welder, all that stuff. But we've been trying hard, real hard with this intercooler stuff to do a lot of aluminum welding to, you know, get a feel for all this stuff, how difficult it is, whatever. Again, there's some aluminum to be welded on the floor there. You know, you start out with the dice. Welds look like shit at first, but within, I would say before this thing was even finished, I kind of get it to focus. Before I even finished the 6 sides of this dice, we kind of had it dialed in. I thought it was going to be a lot harder. You know, we got the bead roller. Got the bead roller stuff for the ends. We can do thin aluminum flanges. Pretty good welds. I think we're up to speed on that, but since everybody's sick and it's cold as balls, you can see the temperature there. A couple episodes ago it was hot, it was humid, whatever. Like here in the desert, the temperature swings are crazy. So I come in here, it's 50 degrees in the morning. That is cold. Anyway, let's rip through some of this footage from some of the events. You know, talk about why it's cool to go, why we're lucky to be there, why specifically I like to go, which is not always intuitive, you know. Let me know if you were there, and if you want to meet up before the next show, we'll all rip up together, snag a drink, whatever, and if not, we'll see you next time.